Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second day of FI India and HI and Propac Virtual Expo Conference. Without any delay, let's begin with our first session for the day on startup opportunities in probiotic and non-dairy beverages. I would like to introduce our moderator for this session, Mr. Nilesh Lele, President, Chamber of Advancement of Small and Medium Businesses. Our panelists for the session would be Mr. Rahul Kakkar, Posh and Beverages, Mr. Akalprit Prabhune, co-founder Rhythm Winery. Over to you.
Hello and good morning and welcome everybody to our today's session, which is a part of food ingredients, health ingredients, as well as Propac India being organized by Informa Markets. I take this opportunity to welcome our two guests and esteemed speakers, very good friend, Mr. Akalpit Prabhune, as well as again a very good friend, Mr. Rahul Kakkad. Good morning, gentlemen. I'm going to, today session is interesting because when we talk about beverages, typically we think about carbonated, non-carbonated, fruit-based, maybe packaged drinking water or dairy-based beverages. So today we have two fascinating, if you may, Akalpitji, I'm calling you startup. We have two young startups and two young entrepreneurs as well who are into beverages of a slightly different type. And I take this opportunity to introduce both the speakers, and then I will, Rahulji as well as Akalpitji, I'll pose you certain questions, and maybe we'll have a round of question and answers for next 20-25 minutes. And simultaneously, if any of our attendees or viewers have any questions, please feel free to post it in the chat box. We will take it as part of our last 15-20 minute session with our esteemed panelists here. So first I will, since Akalpitji is slightly senior than Rahulji, I will take the opportunity to introduce him first. Interestingly, both of them have a lot of things in common where they've spent a lot of years in the US especially. So Akalpit Prabhune is a co-founder and working as a managing director of Rhythm Winery. So if you're from Maharashtra especially, I'm sure you're familiar with fruit wines. And Rhythm, according to me, is the first ones to venture into the fruit wines, which is a subsidiary of Hillcrest Foods and Beverages Private Limited. He's very instrumental with his role in production, research and development, as well as exploring new markets. Akalpit hails from Maharashtra, from Pune. He's an engineer, probably a common theme between, I would like to include myself as well. All three of us here are predominantly engineers by education. He has over 19 years of experience in the field of software, construction, as well as foods and beverages, of which last 10 years have been in winemaking. His journey, and probably will be one of my first questions to him, he started when he visited Napa Valley and realized the potential of winemaking, especially from the fruits that are native to our country. After that, he completed a course from Wine Spectator School of USA and has developed mastery over grape-based fruit wines such as pineapple, kiwi, strawberry, peach, plum, among many others. So welcome Akalpit ji. We are very happy and we would like to hear. I know fruit winery is a at very nascent stages, and I believe it has a lot of potential in years to come. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome Rahul ji, and probably a very young entrepreneur. And again, he has his educational background in industrial engineering and entrepreneurship at University of Southern California, USC at Los Angeles in the US. I would like to call him a serial entrepreneur. Actually, he's a founder of Ultra Mild Tires and also a founder of Potion Juices, which are into health drinks. Is probably what we'll try to know more about his journey in that. So with this, I would once again welcome both of you, and I would like to pose the same set of questions to both of you. Akalpit ji, you can go first, and then Rahul ji, you can answer. That how, I mean, both of you are coming from engineering background. So how did the transition happen into food and beverages, especially? What was that point of inflection where you change your career, as well as why the kind of beverages or the profession that you are in, and what advice you would get to the new startups, like in order to build a successful brand, and how do you see your own beverages industry's future in years to come? So with this, I hand it over to Akalpit ji.
Hi Nilesh, and hi everybody. It's a really pleasure to be in having a talk with all of you. Just to quickly tell you what about Rhythm Wines is that Rhythm Wine is a basically a fruit-based winery located in Pune. I started this in something like 2012, and before that I was in USA working at one winery at Napa Valley, and actually my job was not actually in the winemaking but in their support system means. But in that kind of thing I got kind of an exposure to this field of wines. When I came back to India, I really started thinking something can something be made, some sort of a commercial proposition out of that. And when we started talking about when I started talking about the consumers, at that time the Indian consumer was really not tuned to the wines means. I mean, let's understand that we all are grown up with a taste of all these IMFL drinks like beer and other hard drinks. So it was a completely new segment. And when I was talking with people and talking with some sort of a very premium based wines, people were not aware what is this, how to test it, and all those things. So then what I thought is that why not to offer to the consumers which they actually know about it. So the missing link was the overall the see it's a basically it's a alcoholic fruit based drink, and Indians are not really tuned to the fruit based alcoholic drinks. So I thought the main missing link is that people don't really understand the taste profile or a fruit what they are consuming. So then we started doing some sort of an R&D, that why not to have something which people understand. So so instead of going for a very traditional kind of a grape based wines, I started doing some sort of an R&D or some sort of a research on fruit based wines. I mean, whether we can have some sort of a base as a grape, and then we can blend or flavor naturally with the fruit, so that people can really get that kind of a taste profile which they know means. I mean, so then I started with the tropical fruits like pineapple, then we started with strawberry, and it has got a very nice kind of a aroma basically, and the texture which can suit the wine profile. So this is how the whole kind of a journey started for this kind of a segment. Still, wine industry is still come under a very niche segment because people are now started growing up. The reason I always think is that instead of just jumping into any particular kind of an a project, or as a segment, or as an industry, you should at least have three questions in front of you, and you need to answer those three questions. The first is what, then second is why, and third is how. Okay, so the first question, what, was I got some sort of an answer to this question is that okay, let's get ventured into something like fruit based alcoholic beverage, not a very traditional kind of a grape wine, but to have some sort of a connect with the consumer, so that they can associate their taste profile with that fruits. So that what was something like I really started thinking on that. Okay, let's select the fruits which people are familiar and really love the fruits. Means, I mean, see, there are thousands of fruits, right? I mean, so we selection of the fruit was the very crucial criteria. So since I am from Maharashtra, I mean, the most popular fruits that we have in Maharashtra is one is the mango, then the other one is the strawberry. So then we started working on this what I can say, what concept, that okay, which are the fruits that we need to select for this kind of an fruit based wines. So then we came up with some 6 to 8 fruits, and it was not just to selection of the fruits, right? Means, I mean, the major difference between wine, I can say, as a product and other beverage, is that making that particular fruit-based wine, or the wine itself, takes 8 to 10 months. Then after that, it is not again that once you are done with the wine, you can say that okay, this wine is really good, because then the next part is that what is going to be the shelf life, or what sort of an maturity levels it can attain over the period of time. So it was a very a little quite a what I can say, the efforts of the sort of R&D which was spanned almost something like 2 to 3 years, where we can really come down or pinpoint to a particular fruits. Because see, again, it's not only one fruit. I mean, you also need to see the blending kind of effects that can affect over the period of time. So one thing I can always say is that one, you need to know, have the expertise, but the most crucial I can say thing that you need in this wine kind of or any beverage kind of industry is the patience. I mean, one should not just jump on particular thing that okay, this will make, because this is going to be a unique idea or something like that. Let's venture into this and then get into the market. It doesn't work that way. Means, I mean, you have to spend a lot of time on your product concept, product profiling, doing the R&D and all those things. So it really took something like 2 to 3 years where we came up with some sort of 3 to 4 fruits which we really thought that okay, it has got these fruits have these potentials for making those fruits into wines. So what I mean to say is that this is how the idea of this what build up. Then the second, again, the question is the why. Why is it? Why you need to get into this? So many. I mean, that I think I just discussed is that it is not just the unique idea that matters for any product innovation or a new product, but whether there is a real need of that product. And the this answer for this question is also very difficult, because when you are innovating a new product, there is no demand, right? I mean, there is, how can you say that there is a need or something? And that is where whole of your entrepreneurial skills come into pictures. You need to understand the market, you need to see what is going to happen, what are the trends in the consumer behavior in next 5 to 10 years down the line. And that is where I really focused on this, because see, as I said that the alcoholic beverage industry, the consumer was basically got exposed to the grain-based kind of beverages like beer and other hard drinks. For the first time, the consumer was getting an exposure of the fruit-based kind of an alcoholic drink, which is basically the wine. So the initial what I can say, the response was not that what I can say positive, because people were thinking no, wine is not I mean, is not the taste is not really going with the Indian palate. It doesn't have that kind of an strength and all those things. But over the period of, see, what happens is that whenever the new consumer of between something like between around 21 to 25 or enters in the market, they are new to these kind of concept and they want to try all these new things, right? And that is going to, what is going to really be a very good trend in the overall beverage industry for next 10 years down the line. So what, which are the new what I can say, the consumer which is between something like 22 to 25, they want to try all these kind of different food based food flavors, health drinks, kind of things, and they are open to all these ideas. And once they test this, they get into the market and then you get a push. So what we thought is that let's not worry about the current market, but the new market or the new consumer which is getting entered into the market is a very important. And I can really assure all of you is that that is going to really give us a huge push to this beverage industry, especially for the new products which are getting coming into the market. So maybe at present we may find some sort of a struggle or some sort of an issue in the acceptance, but in next 5 to 10 years down the line, when the whole new consumer enters and starts getting testing these products, I think there is a really nice potential for these kind of new products which are entering in the market. And the third thing I always think is that, see, why then we what, but the the next thing is the implementation, right? How you want to do it. So that is how we started with a very small kind of a winery. It was just a 5,000 liters because again, it was a new segment, new concept. But over the period of time, now we from 5,000 liters, Rhythm Winery has our production has reached to almost 75,000 liters. We are now into 3 states, and slowly, the things are gearing up, and things are going on a very positive side. Again, last 1 or 2 years, as all of us are really going through a very bad patch, I can say, but things will be definitely very positive in next 3 to 4 years. But I'm really happy the way the people are gearing up for the new products, especially the fruit-based products.
Thank you, Akalpit ji.
Yeah.
And I can vouch for your wines. In fact, I have been fortunate enough to be one of the
Yes.
tasters. I think, I believe it was the plum wine, peach wine that you were
Yeah.
experimenting three,
Yeah.
4 years back. And in your, I think, where you're sitting right now, we sat and we tasted few of those wines.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that session,
Sure.
probably post-COVID kind of a scenario. You also mentioned a couple of interesting points. One was identifying the target group, and probably in your segment you mentioned 21 to 25 is probably that target group. And also how you mentioned that since the product is new, you don't really know whether there's a demand or not, right? So those are certain interesting points you made. But I'm sure, I think wine industry as a whole, and especially this fruit wine niche, is actually growing, where people are looking for healthier options compared to the hard liquor which Indians traditionally have been drinking. But of course, the hard liquor may still stick to the hard part, but the newer generation who's liking the low alcohol content kind of beverages probably may look towards these. So I move on to Rahul ji, and I would also like to tell, maybe you are not aware, but I have tasted your products as well. And
Oh,
you're tempting us by drinking in that Potion's yellow color bottle. I guess Akalpit ji doesn't have that privilege on the
sorry.
live
Next time I'll send to everyone.
to be drinking on live platform. But obviously your drink is a non-alcoholic beverage. So similar, like what's been your journey? What's been the rationale behind these kind of health drinks, and where you are right now, and how you see your journey as well as the category of health drinks?
Absolutely. And firstly, thank you so much for having me this morning. And it's an absolute pleasure. And I'd like to start off by saying that so my journey started pretty much in Los Angeles, where I completed my education, and I started my first company. So my first company was completely auto sector. We make tires. We make a brand of tires. So we have everything from cars to trucks, and we were doing this in India. And during my journey, and my work was very rural. And what was happening is, whoever I would meet, everyone would be like, "Chalo, aao chai piyo." And I just over time realized that I've become lactose intolerant. And this was just driving me crazy, because at the time I was about 25, 26 years old. And I was also going through a little bit of the FOMO generation, where we had hundreds of social commitments, we had hundreds of work commitments, and we wanted to do all of them, and there was these times in my life where I was really feeling, you know, uh, I was not being able to catch up and, be to my fullest for any of these things, whether it was my workout, whether it was my work, whether it was, my social commitments. I was there everywhere, but I was not truly in my full spirit, and I could not have a coffee at the time. Also, in my background, growing up, I've been a 3-time national champion in swimming. So I'm in general a very health conscious person, and I still play a lot of sports. I try to stay fit, but basically my idea was that I did not want to consume any of the unhealthy and highly sugar based energy drinks that existed in the market at the time. And coffee to main pee nahi sakta tha, because I became lactose intolerant. And that time it was, obviously there were other alternatives, but us time itna dimag chala nahi ke we should try skim milk or almond milk, and the basically texture of milk was just making me sick. So I just was thinking in my head that, yeah, in the day I'm not having enough energy, and in the night when I want to sleep also, I'm not really getting that optimal sleep because my brain is always elsewhere. So I realized that there was a true gap in the market, and there was no like healthy, ready to drink beverage or solution available. Like even in terms of relaxation, like say we are busy working professionals, we come home late at night. Say you have an early morning flight. And back in those days, we had hundreds of commitments. So say you have an early morning meeting, and how do you ensure that you get that rest? And even if not just the rest, like is only alcohol or the only solution to kind of de-stress yourself? I mean, in terms of consuming products, like, so the popular ones to get a good rest have been like have a sleeping pill, have a glass of wine, have you know XYZ, but nothing was truly healthy and good for you. So this I really thought that I saw a gap in the market. And because I personally had a need of such a product. And being an engineer, as engineers we always say that people make engineers because engineers solve problems. And this I thought was a problem, because if I was facing it, maybe there were other people in the world also facing it. And so I just kind of dived in. And uh, yeah, we launched in very late, I think November 2018 we launched. And 2019 we had the privilege of and the honor of winning the Coca-Cola Golden Spoon Award for the startup of the year. After that, frankly, like the market and the performance in general has not been so great, to be very honest with you. But I've been very proud of what all we've achieved. We used to supply to Indigo Airlines for a good one year plus, for their pilots to help them fight jet lags. We are well placed in retail. Online, we're available pan India. And as the lockdown has affected everyone, it has affected us too. But having said that, I firmly believe that India, in terms of a market, is not completely there yet. uh, Having said that, it will get there. Today, like, we are adding products, we are adding raw materials in our products all the way from Germany, America, some are even from Asia. And we're adding vitamins, we're adding minerals, we're adding a blend of fruits, not just one or two fruits. We're adding stevia, we're adding green tea, ginseng, chamomile. So there's a whole bunch of goodies that go into the bottle, and so it's not so cheap to make. And and I still believe that the mass customer till date, when he's thinking of a beverage or a juice, he has no issues with consuming a 10-20 rupee maza. And but the ones who really are looking for a healthy product, they are really finding us. Online has been kind to us that way. And in fact, also the hotel, the Horeca segment, because in a way we are like a fancy new hatke thing. So so that way the hotel segment has really liked us also. But having said that, the hotel segment has been in, I think, the worst hit from anyone in the pandemic. So that business has not taken off to the levels where I was expecting it to, but I know it will come. Having said that, also because we are a long shelf life product, so I'm really looking at export markets as a very big opportunity. Because these markets in general are more mature towards the concept of a functional juice. Our product that we make is completely unique in its own kind. I don't think there is a single energy or relaxation, healthy energy and relaxation thing at present in the market at all. And that is the promise that we are giving. I'm very proud to say that Ocean is also recommended by doctors, by nutritionists. Some very renowned nutritionists like Suman Agarwal. So we're doing good work that way. But as you understand, the name of the game is volume and turnover. And I still feel like we're quite a long way from that, but we are inching every day, making bigger, bolder, better strides. And I definitely think people are noticing us. I mean, and that's why we've had the privilege of being here today. And I would like to draw this kind of tangent with Akalpit ji, that wine as a product has existed not from today but from the age of Jesus Christ. Jesus used to drink wine. Yeah, so like it's not. I agree that in India as an adoption, there's still that whiskey vodka culture is bigger, but it's, if I tell you wine, in your head what wine is, or you already have that flavor in your mouth. And that, according to me, is the game of FMCG, where the minute you say something or the minute you see that product in that shelf, that taste has to come in your mouth, and that's what gives you the impulse to buy the product. So but with a functional juice, or rather with a functional super juice, like Potion, it's it never existed, and that, I think, is the curse of innovation in its own way. I've completely self-funded it. We've never truly had those big marketing budgets, to get the word out there and to spend on big marketing campaigns. Uh, but having said that, we've been in it to win it from day one, and we've got good recognition. A lot of people now know about Potion, and I've been making little strides every day, and quite happy with the journey so far.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Rahulji. And in fact, if after hearing both of your journeys, I see a lot of parallel that you both have innovative products, probably trying to create a category or a subcategory in a wine market or in the health drinks. I also realized that both of you were able to identify or define a problem statement. Like Rahulji, you mentioned your own, lactose intolerance was one of the problem statement that you had, and you were able to figure out a good enough solution to it. So that's exactly what most of the startups should do. Rather than just coming up with some startup, they should first identify a problem statement, have a possible and a good sustainable solution to it. Another thing I found interesting was that your products are both premium, and I'm going to come to that. And the other thing you also mentioned is both products have shelf life. I mean, we don't talk about wine and shelf life of wine, but obviously both of your products are a long shelf life. So it's a boon for both of you, that it does have a longer shelf life and probably will help you sustain COVID kind of scenarios. But let me come back to one question first before, and I request anybody watching us, if they have question, I know a few questions have started coming in. So if you have any questions, please put them in. After this, I will be taking your questions. So the question where Rahulji, you did refer to it a little bit, and I think Akalpitji, I think it's valid to you also, that price point of your products are slightly higher compared to some of the direct or indirect competition, right? I mean, certain fruit-based beverages may not be exactly direct competitors, but end of the day, I say that किसी के खिसे में 20 rupees है या 50 rupees है, we all are fighting for that same money. So money is limited. So whether even a chocolate or a vada pav or a samosa might also be competing with your health beverage. So my point is, the question is that since the price point is slightly higher, how do you convince the customer, and what kind of repeat customers you're seeing? Because in FMCG especially, it is all about repeat customers. So are you tracking the repeat customers? How much of your current customers are repeat customers? We can go with Rahulji first, and then I'll go to Akalpi.
Thank you. But see, I'll tell you very honestly, since I believe our numbers are still far away from where I would like them to be, we're not yet doing a great job in terms of reaching out to our entire customer base. I would definitely say that. And sadly, in retail, it's very tough to measure, the repeat customer base. But online we can, and we do. And a large part of it, to be very honest, is a repeat customer. And in fact, I've spoken to certain stores as well, So, and this is the thing about premium and non-premium, people always judge products with price point, which is the way the market is. But no one judges products based on the uniqueness and based on what they really do for you. I believe that there are 2-3 types of products in this market in general. One is a good for you kind of a product, like like a potion, and the other is just like either a me too or just kind of doing that thirst quenching, or there's a good taste and that's it. So the good taste and the me too's get that early adoption very quick, because okay, this is a popcorn, this is a gourmet popcorn, this is a juice, this is a mango juice, this is a sweeter mango juice, this is a pulpy juice, so there are like, so these ones get that quick adoption because the consumer is very easily able to imagine what he's going into. Having said that, once people find us, and I know we are premium, but sometimes the results have been extremely different. Like I've always expected South Bombay, Bandra, Juhu, all the western suburbs to be performing the best, but that's very contrary to the actual findings in retail. Even though we are placed in the best of the best outlets, sometimes there are places like Borivali and the least expected neighborhoods, where we get a lot of good sale, and simply because sometimes there are call centers there, or there are DJs who live there, who need to stay up all night, or like people who have kind of found this and they realize, oh, this works, and let me live the healthier way forward. So I believe that if you create a product which has a well defined need, and which has a recall value, more than the underlining the word recall value, a good tasting product, okay, great, if I see it, I'll buy it, but that whole game is based on distribution. But if you make a good product based on recall value, no matter how expensive or cheap it is, eventually there will be a pull for it. This is my opinion.
Okay,
But
thank you.
having said that, being premium, of course, affects the market, because the cheapest of the cheapest products are like 10 and 20 rupees, so it's very tough. And, and we have considered hundreds of times to, reduce the price point, and we're still considering it, frankly. But, I just don't want to sacrifice on the quality of the ingredients. That's my pain point here. So, until I get to scale, I'm a little stuck.
Okay, thank you. Akalpit ji, same question. Like India is a very price sensitive country. So when a product is priced slightly premium, which I believe your product is compared to a purely grape wine, how do you compete with that? Sir, you are on mute, Akalpit ji. Yes.
Yeah. So see, according to me, is that first is there is nothing like a premium product, so you can keep your price very high and all those things. I always feel that your price needs to be competitive, and so competitive can be a high price point or a low price point. But you have to see when you're doing the pricing of a product. There are two things. One is the as just now Rahul ji just said that what it offers to the consumer. So according to me, what sort of a value that you offer to the consumer is the one thing that can be that can play a very crucial part in defining your price or a cost. But at the same time, if you want to be into the market and you want to really come up as a commercial product, we have to see always what are the other products in that segment and what is the price range of that product. Maybe our product may be a unique product or a different conceptual product, or it might be something little more on you might be end up having a little raw material cost on the higher basis compared to the other competitors. But at the end of the day, consumer is not going to really see that I mean what sort of a cost that you are incurring. At the end of the day, he or she is going to because the consumer is going to have a plenty of options, right? And they are going to check in the market which is the best product available at the right price. So I always feel, or this is always our kind of an thought process, that we always see which segment we are into. And when I say which segment means, I mean, for example, even if we are into the fruit wines, we also need to see which are the other products from other beverages in that segment, like maybe IMFL drink, or maybe my other competitor like Sula or Fratelli. They may not be doing the fruit wines, but if they are catering into a particular kind of a segment of a consumer, what is their price range? So if their price range of my segment is between 600 to 700, I can't just put my product price to 800 rupees or 900 rupees, saying that our product is unique or something like that. So I mean, I'm just saying that. See, at the end of the day, deciding a price is a strategy and how you want to put it across the market. But I always feel that while deciding the cost, we need to have a at the back of our mind this kind of an study or exercise, that which are the other products available in this segment and what is the price range. And when I say whether it's a premium or cheap, I always say is that you need to be competitive. It may be 5-10 rupees, 10-15 rupees here and there, but somehow you need to manage that. Second thing is that deciding the price in the initial level is a little tricky scenario, because at that time your production levels are too low, your fixed costs are very high, and in that case you tend up in thinking that okay, this is my cost which I'm incurring, this is what I'll be spending, so I'll be deciding the price of this, which I feel is a little, which is not a very right kind of thing. See, for example, I always compare like in our industry, Sula or Fratelli's. These are a big volume based wineries. So their fixed cost is very low compared to small kind of a size wineries. But I can't just say that because my fixed costs are too high, my price of my product will also go high. So this is how you need to see what is going to be your break-even point at that time, what is going to be your total production at that time, what will be your fixed cost, variable cost. And while deciding your price, I think all these factors need to consider and come with the price rather than uh, uh, taking your price range, your cost into account and deciding the price. So I think it's a little always what I can say. I won't say tricky, but you need a lot of exercise and market study while defining your product. We always say that my product is premium, my product is of a great quality, and all those things. Yeah, that's fine, means but at the end of the day, somewhere down the line, your price needs to be competitive, and at the same time you need to be able to tell the price and the value proposition to the end consumer. If somehow, if we can balance those things, I think there is an acceptance to the product.
Okay, great. So to summarize in one line, the customer should feel value for money. That's the price, or that's the MRP.
I have a question
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, and this is to Mr. Akalpit. So, if you were to make a product, and let's just say you portion is today 85 rupees, but you say no, 45 is the right price, and and you maybe say that maybe at scale, at scale over the next 3 years, we could reach that profitability level, but for the first 3 years we'll be selling at a loss. So would you agree to something like that as a strategy, or what would you say? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs today are thinking on these lines, and personally I don't agree with the burn model. I feel like the number one rule of entrepreneurship is thou shall not bullshit thyself. And अगर आज मेरे को 100 रुपए पे घर पे आया तो 110 पे तो बेचना ही चाहिए, or even 102, but at least there has to be a positive cash flow, because otherwise you're always looking to raise funds, and yeah, okay, a lot of people are getting funds also these days, but we've seen a lot of brands come and go because of this kind of a mindset. So what would you have to say for that?
See, I'm just telling you from my kind of a business model, or what sort of a segment that we are in.
And I'm not holding you against it either. I'm just
no. The good thing is that we are online, so nobody can hold, right? Means we are not sitting face to face. So that's the beauty of online sessions, I will say. No, just coming down to your point, I feel is that when you are saying burning out or something, or taking a loss, is what I think when you are setting up your business plan, I think you need to put that down on the paper. When you say burning down means not, or taking a loss is not actually the loss. It is something like coming to a level where you can become a competitive, right? And so again, it all depends on your the sort of a funds that you have available and all those things. But at the end of the day, see, the end consumer is not really care what the cost you are incurring. At the end of the day, they have the options.
Yeah.
So we can't see, we can always have, there is always a consumer who can purchase your product at 110 rupees. There is no doubt about it. But whether it is really the thing that we want or not is a question. So if you think the right price of that product is 75 rupees, the I think you should go for 75 rupees, and whatever the sort of an loss or something like is that you have to taken care into your business plan. You have to have those sufficient funds, and then you can go ahead with that. See, I mean, this is what we are always think from our perspective, but from the market perspective, I mean, those are not the things that really matter, right? Means, I mean, so if you are really going for a long run, you need to have these expenses accounted in your business plan, and then you have to take a decision whether you should go for it or not. I mean, I will not suggest that, okay, I mean, we are not like Amazon or like Zomato who has that kind of a potential. So I totally agree. Means, I mean, for a small entrepreneur or with a fixed kind of an investment funds available, yes, we have to really make sure that how quickly we come into the green balance sheet or something like that. But at the end of the day, it's a business, right? Means, I mean, it is not different for Tata, or it not different. I mean, eventually you have to be in the same kind of a market. So I think you need to stick a balance of both means.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think it was a great answer, Akalpitji.
Yeah.
There are a couple of questions that have come from people who are watching us. So first I'll go to Akalpitji since we are with you. It's an interesting question. What is the acceptability of Indian wine in the global markets, since India is yet to be amongst the top 15 wine producing country? Like, do you export, and what do you see the acceptance abroad for our wines, maybe even other grape wines also?
See, let's accept certain things, that this wine is made for thousands of years, right? Means, as I mean, Rahul you said it from the time of Christ Church. So the point is that you can't just compete with that kind of a quality or that kind of an what you can say, the product which is happening in the European market, or maybe the new world of wines like Australia or New Zealand. It is going to take time. I mean, it's not that I mean, I make a fantastic wine, so I can be I can export my wine to France and I can be able to sell it. So we have to understand that where we are in. So at present, I can say that towards Indian wine is for at present, Indian wine is for Indian consumer. Okay, let's let because the Indian consumer itself is a huge consumer. So first we have to develop, we have to improve to a level when we can start thinking of going for export. In case of fruit wines, is a little different scenario, because in European countries or something, they don't have these European fruit wine concept. They are basically into traditional the grape wines. So here, when you are making something like a wine, fruit based wine from mango, or maybe a
You're on mute, Nilesh.
Yeah, sorry. I think Akalpitji, we have lost him, I believe.
Yeah.
So before he probably comes back, let me take a question for you, Rahul.
Sure.
The question is that India being a predominant market for tea and coffee, what percent of shift do you see in adaptability for your product? Like, how much of that segment will, like you mentioned, you are lactose intolerant, and you love coffee. So
To be very honest, I'm not here trying to tell people to stop drinking tea or coffee. You know, I have created a healthy substitute, which does pretty much the same stuff that tea, coffee, and your energy drinks do. So it's honestly a privilege to have created another option. And if you ask me, that even if 0.1% or even if 0.5% of those people who love their teas and coffees simply just try potion once, that is more than enough, because that's such a huge population. There are not just some, but there are hundreds and thousands of families and businesses who are working in the tea and coffee segment. And I'm not here to take their livelihoods away. I'm simply, this is just an additional, an option. And it's a healthier way forward. It's not just for lactose intolerant. If you're diabetic, if you can't consume a lot of sugar, if you're just looking for something new and a well tasting product, which is ready to drink, you don't have to sit and make it, heat it, nothing. You just grab it out of the fridge and open the bottle and it's ready to drink. So this is what we are giving. It's just another alternative, and the market of tea and coffee is far too big, and even if a small fraction of that, just keeps like has a portion and just keeps it in their fridge at home, that's more than enough for us.
Okay, great. Akalpiji, sorry, we lost you when you were saying. So we did catch that you mentioned it's difficult to compete with wines which have been there for last 2000 years, especially European markets. That we heard till there. You can continue.
Okay, just to tell that, so we are in a very initial stage of wine industry as a country, India as a country means, I mean, so let's not get into that since we are making some great wine. So we are, we all see, I'm not saying product to product basis. There are some really good Indian wines which are comparable with some European nice wines also. But at the same time, as the whole thing is the market acceptance, because nobody knows as an India as a just 1 minute, so from the export perspective, it is going to take time over the period of times. Once we really establish our credentials in the market, people will start accepting it. So that's not a very big thing, but at present it is not something like that we should say that we are making great wine, so we should also get into the export. It will happen over the period of time. What I was talking about is the fruit wine, which is a very niche segment, but these kind of products which are not available in the European countries or maybe in USA and all those things, Australia. So there, these fruit-based kind of an alcoholic beverage always have got some sort of an upper hand because it's a novelty to those people. So just to tell you, at present we are exporting our Alfonso wine in UK, and we are targeting some Indian restaurants where these wines are available, and there we are getting a very good response, because even if a French guy come there, or even a British guy come to the Indian restaurant, they want to try something very Indian oriented authentic products. So they don't want to order something like a French wine there when you visit Indian restaurant. So then they really want to test the Kingfisher beer, or maybe this Alfonso wine, maybe something which is Indian kind of an product when you visit to those kind of things. So that kind of a market we can always we can look for, because I mean in every country I think Indian community is quite a sizable amount. So that kind of a market is always there from the export perspective.
Okay, excellent. I think we had an excellent discussion, and I'm sure people who attended our session today have had interesting insights from both of you. So I'm sure they can reach out to you for any guidance or maybe for your own products. And last parting words, because we are at time, we have last 1 minute. So last parting words from both of you. Probably again, I'll go with Rahul this time.
Just for all those young entrepreneurs out there, just be confident, be brave. It's not going to be easy, but it's definitely going to be worth it. And sometimes your balance sheets might not make the most sense, but it's the life is about creating an asset and setting your legacy and trying to make a difference, and if you just think on those angles, if you're just driven towards doing what you want to do, what you love to do, the rest of the answers will just follow, but just be brave. And there's a lot of opportunity even in a time like now, and I'm saying it even though we at Potion are also pretty beaten up right now, but still, the mission is clear. We want to make a big global brand, and I'm happy to, if anyone has any questions, even in terms of their own business or anything, please feel free to reach out to me via LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, anything. And I'm always here to help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nilesh, for having me.
Sure. And I always say that if this is the lowest point, then the only direction you can go is up, right? So
Absolutely.
I guess
Absolutely.
we are at really interesting points, all of us, I guess. Akalpit ji, last few words and we'll close.
Okay, so no, I think starting a business is the great idea always, and no age bars means many people think that, oh, I crossed this 45 now, I can't take, and all those things. There is always a time. The only thing what I can always say is that you have to take risk, but be knowledgeable of that area in which you want to take a risk. I mean, I won't say you need to be an expert, because expertise happen over the period of time, and that you can gather when you get into the venture. But you need to have a knowledge where you want to get into. You need to have some sort of a vision, develop your vision. I think that knowledge gives you vision, and yes, you have to take a little quick decisions and risk. And I think if you're sincere and honest, I think things work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would again like to formally thank both of you, Akalpit Prabhune from Rhythm Winery and Rahul Kakkad from Potion Beverages. Thank you once again. And I declare that the session has closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This indeed was an extremely fruitful session. Thank you, Mr. Nilesh, and all the panelists for sparing this time for us. Dear attendees, thank you for your presence in this session. It's time to take a short break and be back for the next session right here.